And once again, this is the Age of Disruption Tour weekly webinar. My name is Kevin Peterson, and we're broadcasting today from Ithaca, New York, in the living room of Dr. Bill Thomas, creator of the Age of Disruption Tour. And I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Bill to welcome everybody.
Well, good morning, everybody. And it is pretty cool. I'm actually, as Kevin said, we're sitting together in the living room, a big part of the Age of Disruption Tour team. And we did just finish up some really successful rehearsals, and we're coming to see you very soon. So I'd like to just run through quickly what a day in the life of the tour is like so that you can have a little bit of a sense of what lies ahead. And then we have a couple of special guests to talk to you about particular parts of our experience. So we get into town usually around 1:30 or 2 a.m. and check into a hotel, get a little sleep, get up in the morning and get a little breakfast. And the day really starts rolling around 10:30 a.m. when the crew starts loading in the sets and the lights and the audio equipment into the theater. At noon, I sit down with local folks and have a conversation about the future of aging in your community. This is the AARP community conversation. They make it possible for us to join with you and be with you and listen to you. And one of the really cool parts of the tour is a chance to convene that conversation and share it together. I really, really enjoy that. That runs from about 12 to 1:30. At 2:30 in the afternoon, we kick off something called Disrupt Dementia. And this is really, again, built around the idea of disruption, conversation, local engagement. We're going to be featuring what is, I guess, sort of, volume 2 of Alive Inside, a new way, a film that shows a new way of looking at the relationship between music and memory. We're going to be featuring a very exciting musical performance by Samate Malando, who's been in several films relating to music and memory, dementia. And we'll be featuring a tremendous community conversation event with Jennifer Carson and Michael Smith, who will be really putting together a really engaging event. Here's the most exciting and unusual thing about it. The whole event is designed to welcome, embrace, and to be an opportunity for people who are living with dementia to be part of the event. So people who live with dementia, people who love them, professionals, nurses, doctors, and social workers, everybody's invited. But this is really put together as an inclusive event. Kevin.
And I'm so excited. It was amazing to really do this workshop for the first time and see that Jennifer Carson, who has amazing experience doing a lot of research facilitated by people living with dementia, and the Alzheimer's Resource Center, who she's worked with, doing amazing work led by people living with dementia. And so the thing that we're going to be really highlighting is we're not coming in as the experts to tell, as Dr. Thomas to tell people what to do. We're coming in to show examples of how communities have really learned from the true experts, the people who are living with dementia, what it's like, what they want, what they feel, and how we can change communities based on those principles.
Yeah, that's very exciting. Then from 4:30 to 7, it's playtime. We've actually organized, I think, what's going to be a super exciting, we kind of call lobby experience, and the creator and designer of that experience happens to be in my living room right now. So I'd love to introduce Kyrie Carpenter and hear a little bit about that experience and how you guys are all going to get to be enjoying it and playing with us.
And if you guys are tuning in online, while Kyrie talks, we're going to give a very exclusive preview of the tour program, which we call Life's Most Dangerous Game Playbook. So with a lot of pleasure, I'd like to introduce Kyrie.
Thank you. Yeah, so the lobby experience is really going to be the bridge between Disrupt Dementia and Life's Most Dangerous Game. It's going to be a place for attendees to interact with these concepts that have been introduced in Disrupt Dementia and which will be enforced during Life's Most Dangerous Game. Play is an acronym and an energetic reminder of how to embrace aging. When we play, it's not about doing something right. It's not about accomplishments. We have the opportunity to fail and for that to be okay when you're playing. And you can practice and develop, and it's a fun attitude. It's low-key. It's take risks. Try something new. Play is also an acronym. It's an acronym for different facets of human existence, which we can practice at any age to help us embrace the changes that come with aging. And again, these changes are not bad things and they're not negative things. They're things that can be embraced and help us to really deepen our human experience. And all of these facets were inspired by people living with dementia and research around elders, particularly those living with dementia. So in the lobby, there's going to be an experience to go through each of these facets and do an activity to help you embrace it. And the thing is, though, the lobby isn't about doing. There are these activities, but the activities are a way to start conversations. The first one you're seeing here is the human scavenger hunt, where you'll go around and meet people who have the facets that are mentioned in each of the box and get them to sign it. But it's about creating conversations with these people that you're connecting with and starting something that'll stay in the cities that we go to long after we leave. And for this one, it's about pacing, so whoever, when you finish your scavenger hunt, you're going to submit your name for a drawing, and the winner isn't going to be who finishes first, because during Life's Most Dangerous Game, it's not about being the fastest. It's not what mainstream culture says. It's about finding the right pace for a given activity. So for each of these things, there's going to be a fun, different activity to help engage you in the learnings that have been happening during the different workshops. But the point really is for you to engage with these concepts and with everyone around you and really build community. And for the last one, there's even going to be Facebook groups for each of the cities that are going to be pre-created that you can join while you're there, so that after the tour leaves the city, what's been started there doesn't. There's a place for people to start their own consciousness-raising groups in the community already created. In addition to these play concepts, we're going to be partnering in some cities with different organizations, artists, musicians, and really make a robust experience. It's all about building community and playing together.
And I'm very excited. We're going to finish the walk through a day in the life of the tour, and then we're actually going to hear from one of the local partners that's going to be part of this lobby experience. First, Dr. Bill, if you want to continue with the day in the life.
I'll just, so after you guys get done playing, we'll come into the theater and do a bit of non-fiction theater. So for most people listening and most people attending, it'll be the first non-fiction theater event you've ever attended in your life. So what is non-fiction theater? Well, actually, I am on stage with a musician named Nate Silas Richardson, and we use all the tools of theater, storytelling, spoken word, music, image, set, prop, narrative, and in our case, neuroscience, behavioral psychology, all mixed together to challenge the conventional wisdom about both youth and age, and open the door to new possibilities. That's Life's Most Dangerous Game. It runs for about 80 minutes, and it's really fun for me. And really, to top it all off, after the show, Nate and I, and really the whole cast of the day, will all meet you in the lobby outside after the event and spend some time together and enjoy more conversation. Then we strike the sets, load the bus, take off, drive to the next city, and do it all over again.
All right. Thank you, Bill. So now it is my pleasure to introduce our special guest for this week's webinar. One of the terrific organizations that we're going to be working with on the tour during the second week in Chapel Hill, Durham. Is that right, Amy? Amy
That's
Gorely is
right.
joining us. Yep, Amy Gorely is joining us. I first got a look at Amy's work at a wonderful kind of a TED Talk that she gave at a leading age conference in the fall for a wonderful local initiative that she started and is looking to now create a national campaign called Be Bold and Claim Old. And we were very excited to connect with Amy and her organization. And we asked her if she would take a few minutes to join our webinar to talk about the local work that she is doing, share this message. And if you are viewing online, you can see her blog post at changingaging.org, and I definitely recommend that you stop over there to read her post and watch her video. But Amy, please tell us about your campaign.
Yeah, thank you so much. First, let me say what an honor it is to be with all you all today. I'm so inspired by Dr. Bill's work and all of you involved in the tour, so I'm really excited to be with you today. You might wonder why a 43-year-old would be championing a campaign on ageism, but I wanted to share first that it's been something I've been passionate about since I was very young. My mom used to take me to the nursing home where she worked, which was in the early 80s, and she taught me to really respect elders and their wisdom. But when I think back, I can remember the feeling of having to hold my breath to avoid the unpleasant smells in the facility. And I would often be grabbed by residents as I walked by. And my mom would explain that it's because these folks were lonely and they were just excited to see and wanted to hug a child. And so even at that early age, I could tell that something was wrong with how older adults were treated in our society. And I already thought to myself, why are we separating elders from the rest of culture and in facilities that we would never dream of living in ourselves? So then as I grew older, I started to notice more and more about all the jokes about getting older, or rather not wanting to get older. Just like Jack Benny claimed to be 39 over and over. I always laughed because my mom took it a decade earlier and she wanted to be 29 over and over. And so then when I turned 30, I recognized at my office people started decorating with over-the-hill materials, including a cane. I got a cane when I turned 30. And I remember laughing, but then started to think, like, this is really ageist. And so now when folks comment on my age, I say, thanks, but this is what 43 looks like. I'm happy to be 43. And so the idea from the campaign, as you mentioned, came through my participation in Leading Age's Leadership Academy. Through that, we had an awesome opportunity to think a lot about different problems in the field of aging. And no matter what problem I looked at, whether it was direct care workers getting paid less and having less training than a dog groomer, which is appalling, to the issues that society isn't really preparing well for this huge demographic shift, to me, I kept coming back to the same issue of ageism and that society values youth over older age. So to tackle that ageism felt very, very large, but here's where I found hope. I remembered that aging is not just a biological process, but it is a cultural one. And so to think about, well, what role do we play in creating culture and the value that we add to young and old? So as I mentioned in the blog post, my radical idea is to shift thinking, and my tagline here is Be Bold, Claim Old. So the idea is to ask everyone to accept and celebrate every age. So it may seem like a small step, but I think that it begins to add value and really reclaims some value back to old. At a minimum, it's a catchy phrase, and even if it's not remembered quite right, what I've found is that people seem to resonate with the positivity of it, and it seems to be a seed really to plant a new way of viewing old. So what I want everybody to be bold and claim old. So I'm especially excited of the large demographic shift coming with the power of the boomers. As we all know, this group is known for reinventing and challenging the status quo and wondering if they could use their collective power to add value back to old. And just to be clear, I'm not really talking about 70 being the new 50, because I think that's degrading to the dignity and strength of 70. What I'm talking about is transforming how people view their age so they will own and celebrate every age, not needing to be viewed as younger to have value or to feel self-worth in society. So if you've read my blog post, or you might in a little while, you'll see that I was influenced by other social justice movements. I often think, okay, there's a lot of movements, how do other groups address discrimination and try to shift values? So one way is to look at the LGBTQ movement and how they successfully reclaimed queer, and I thought, is it crazy to think that we might have a similar strategy to help create a positive connotation and value for old? And so Be Bold, Claim Old is really purposeful in its word choice. You know, I often hear people say things like, I'm turning 60 years young. And I'm like, well, what does that say about the value of old if we have such disdain for that, that we don't even want to use it anymore and how we describe our age? You know, we'd never say someone is 20 years young. That's kind of seen as a put down. So, but at some point it shifts. And then I also looked at Malcolm X and the idea that you have to love yourself first. He said, we cannot think of being acceptable to others until we have first proven acceptable to ourselves. And although this is a very different context, I really feel like a similar premise may be useful in thinking about ageism. We have inherited this cultural value that youth is definitely the gold standard, and anything that does not appear young is less valued. And I think this is really important because often older adults seem to be very ageist, at least in my experience and in my own life. My own 90-year-old neighbor, when I suggest that she goes to the local senior center to participate in one of their great art projects, she'll say, I don't want to be around a bunch of old people. And I'm thinking, what? Why not? I would. So it kind of shows how powerful these inherited cultural values are and how they've ingrained in us not only a fear of aging, but it seems to be almost a contempt for anyone who's considered old. And so this affects not only our own self-worth as we age and we think about getting older, but how we treat others that we consider old. So for this cultural shift to happen, this idea of adding value back to old, I really do think it's going to take everyone, all people, all ages, because I believe ageism isn't just an issue for older people. It's a universal, obviously aging is a universal human experience. And it's in everybody's best interest to want to create a society where old is as valued and meaningful and significant as young. And so in my own life, I've talked with Be Bold, Claim Old with my own 8-year-old daughter. I can share that experience. I talk about it with her in relation to her great uncle, who we acknowledged was full of wisdom and laughter and love, even though his physical body had gotten very frail, and she got it. And when I complain about my new gray hair coming in, can you see a huge amount of it? She reminds me, come on, Ma, be bold, claim old. And last night, as I was prepping for this talk, I asked her, you know, what does it mean, be bold, claim old to you? And she said, people should feel happy about whatever age they are. And so that's the kind of seed that I hope to plant for a different future that values aging and old. And so I think, you know, really why I did this is that I think it's really important that the fear of aging keeps us from living really full lives. And so if we have a more culturally viable idea of old age, and as we're growing older, we'll have fuller lives at every stage. And I think a shift in how we value aging could potentially shift the larger policy shifts, how funding flows, how people might want to get into the aging field, how caretakers are viewed. And on a personal level, as I share in my video, you know, those that have more positive views of aging live longer. So as you mentioned, Be Bold, Claim Old is planned to be a national campaign. We're excited to be starting at the Age of Disruption tour spot in Durham, Chapel Hill on April 21st. As a very first step, we have a sticker campaign that's part of this lobby experience, where we're going to have a table in the lobby that explains and invites everyone to wear a sticker that reads, Be Bold, Claim Old, and it has a blank space to write your age. I kind of view it as something similar to a name tag, but it's a, I guess you could call it a claim tag, so you're claiming your age. And people have asked, you know, how can I get started or use this in the community? And so for ideas, you might be willing to share that brief 2-minute TED-inspired talk. That might be something you share with others and begin a discussion on ageism. And I personally challenge each of you, like we're doing in our own communities, to claim and celebrate your own age and birthdays. You know, as a Southern woman, I'm taught it's it's not genteel to ask or share your age. There's lots of cultural barriers. But I think that it's important that you go ahead and try to get around those. Even my mom, who claimed to be 29 for many years, ended up throwing herself a huge 60th birthday party. People were amazed she wanted to celebrate this age publicly, but she did, and you have to model for everyone, you know, your children, your grandchildren, your colleagues, your friends, that you embrace every age. Set the example you want, and I believe others will follow. So I'm also in the process of exploring and building a social media campaign to help spread the message. So anyone that's interested in encouraging these types of conversations or other ideas, I really welcome you to contact me. My contact information is on the bottom of the blog. And I just want to remind everyone to be bold, claim old. I appreciate your interest.
Thank you so much, Amy. That was just phenomenal. And for everybody listening, I want to encourage you to reach out to Amy, share her story, share her post, And in addition, I just want to highlight that for all of our listeners and folks involved with the tour, if you have a similar message, a similar story, a campaign you want to share, please reach out to us. Jessif, if you can go ahead and throw up the tour email. We want to hear from you. We want to connect with you on the tour. And to highlight that and to pivot to that, we're going to talk a little bit about one of the newest projects we've been working on related to the tour that we're extremely excited about sharing and launching. Part of this ongoing conversation, of running the tour and running the blog changingaging.org is we are constantly approached by people asking us questions, critical questions, and also looking to get involved, to engage with us, to help out, be part of the movement. And so one of the new things we're going to be rolling out with the tour and highlighting the tour is the new Ask Dr. Bill podcast. And so we're very excited. We launched episode 00, our first podcast, which featured a wonderful conversation between Dr. Bill Thomas and Nate Silas Richardson, the two stars of Life's Most Dangerous Game. And so I'm going to just have Jessif Myers, our social media guru, talk a little bit about the podcast, how to download it, how to subscribe. And just to let you guys know, while we were in town doing the dress rehearsal, Bill and Nate sat down in the studios and recorded a couple more podcasts that we will be rolling out very shortly. So Jessif, if you could walk us through it, that would be great.
Thanks, Kevin. So the Ask Dr. Bill show will always be published on the website, and I'll show you the easiest way to get there in a moment. When you are on the page, it can be played directly if you're watching online. With this player right here, just click play and it will start. If you want to take it with you on the go, you can also download the episodes as an MP3, or you can subscribe on iTunes, the podcast. As of today, I will also be adding a link. We are now live on the Stitcher app. So for those of you using Android devices, or if you do not use iTunes, we want to make it as easy as possible to subscribe. If you are subscribing on iTunes, we ask if you're enjoying the show. We'd love if you would leave a review for us. That feedback is great and will help us hopefully reach a new audience outside of the enthusiasts that we have on the webinar today. If you're not as much of an audio person, we are also going to be including a complete transcription of every episode so that you can read along, or if you need to pay attention at work, you can follow along just via text and read the episodes. There's a lot of great stuff coming. Right now, if you want to listen to the episode, if you go to our news page or blog page and scroll down a little bit, the podcast is linked on the right side here. I will also be adding a prominent link on the front page of the website as we add more episodes and it becomes a little bit more of a prominent feature. And we encourage folks to submit questions as you listen to the episode and are inspired and want to hear more from Dr. Thomas or any member of the tour.
Excellent. Thank you, Jessif. And I'll just also encourage folks, most of you who are on the webinar, you're probably already subscribers to the tour, to Changing Aging. That's how you got the invitation. But I definitely encourage you to subscribe if you haven't, and share the subscription with others, because we've just got a ton of great stories that we're going to be sharing, and especially once we hit the road starting next week, going to have amazing stories from the road, podcasts from the road, photos, social media. We're going to be engaging through every avenue that we can. And I'm going to wrap up today's webinar with just a final reminder. Jessif, if you can pull up our press kit page for folks who are a part of the tour and joining us on the tour and would love to pitch in and help us spread the word and invite folks. We rely 100% on our partners and sponsors and on our network to be our ambassadors, to go out into the community, tell people what we're doing, how amazing it is, and really bring them into this movement. And we've tried to provide everything we can think of on this page in terms of posting, putting something through your own newsletters, through your own social media channels. You can print out flyers for the events in your cities. So we really encourage you to take advantage of this resource, help us spread the word. And if you're listening because you want to bring the tour to your community, reach out to us, let us know, and we'll connect, and we will try to make it happen. We are working on 2017 dates right now, and really trying to build momentum and build the movement. So I want to thank everybody for joining us, and the final message is we will be posting this webinar as a YouTube video online later on today, so you can access it and share it with friends. And I'll let Dr. Thomas say farewell.
Everybody, I just want to tell you how grateful we are for the time and energy and vision and drive you all have, and all the work you're doing everywhere. I really do believe that it has fallen to us right here and right now to be the people who change aging forever. See you on the road.